Hey, hey. Hi, you Walker. Hi, you guys. I am going to chat a little bit with you guys today about how I managed to pack up my house in actually 10 weeks to move to Mexico. If you have a particular question about what I did, please drop it in the comments and I will try to answer. Basically, the method that I used was to be aggressive about letting go of things. I pretty much decided early on that I did not want to put anything in storage because that's expensive and it's something I just didn't want to spend money on. So I decided that I would need to be really aggressive about getting rid of things, which has not always been my strong suit. Anyone that knows me knows I have a lot of things. And I used to own over 300 pairs of shoes. Yes, 300. So a big part of getting rid of things was getting rid of a lot of my shoes. And that was hard and painful, but I did it. And I think I let go of 75 to 80% of the shoes that I own, along with more than 50% of my clothing. And I did a number of things to get rid of my belongings. I can't see everyone that's on here. I see that people are joining, but I can't see everybody. Hi, Athena. So one of the things that I did was I put a lot of my closet to say up for sale on Poshmark and my shoes on Poshmark. I had girlfriends come over and just take things. I put my furniture up on Let Go, and pretty much all of my furniture is now gone. I'm sleeping on a mattress in my bedroom. It's very interesting. I feel like I'm back in college or something. Um, but I pretty much like had to just do some mental resets and just be okay with giving things away. Things that I used to care a lot about and that I invested significant sums in certain extent. I just, decided that if I want to change my life and I want a life that I'm excited about every day, that it was worth the sacrifice to give these things away because at the end of the day, they're things. They're not that important. They're just things. And they're things that can all be replaced. But you can't replace people and you can't replace experiences that you either have or experiences that you miss. So once I decided I was doing this, I pretty much went all in because I signed a lease to start in May. And so I knew I wanted to move in May. And so I really had to just be really hardcore about giving things away, selling things, and just parting with things. And that's the main thing that I learned in this process was a lot of things that I thought were important to me really were not that important to me anymore. So I used Poshmark, I used the Real for certain things, I used Let Go, I used Facebook Marketplace, and I pretty much started immediately from the time I got back listing things and Goodwill. Luckily for me, there's a Goodwill very close to my home. So they know me intimately well now because I'm there almost every weekend dropping more things off. But I took a lot of things to Goodwill. TaskRabbit became my best friend in terms of having people come and help me move things. Um, my son, thank God, has been super helpful. He's moving into the basement. We're renting out the upper part of my house, and he's moving into the basement apartment that I used to Airbnb. So I did some renovations on the kitchen in the basement, which was necessary, but not something you really want to take on when you're getting ready to move. I do not recommend doing that, by the way. But it all worked out, and we've gotten it done. The kitchen is now finished and he's actually moving in as we speak. I can't see who everybody is. If you don't mind saying hello, that would be awesome. And so now he's been super helpful in terms of helping me move things in the basement, helping people move things into their car when they came to pick them up for Let Go. I have a wonderful, well, she's a friend, but she's also family who took a lot of things. And so he was super helpful with helping me like move those things out of the house with the help of another mover, getting them out the door. So my house is almost completely empty except for what's being moved into the basement. And it is an unusual experience. Hi, Wild Child Designs. To live in a house that has no furniture. Like right now, I think I have a single flat surface in my entire bedroom to put anything on. And that item is going on Friday. So everything is kind of on the floor. If it's not in a suitcase, it's like just sitting on the floor. And I'm not a person who likes clutter very much. So having to put things on the floor has been very difficult for me. But there is no furniture to put anything on. So it's just one of those things. I pretty much have only kept my home office intact so I can do things like talk to you guys. But I think on Saturday, we're going to move um, the desk and everything down to the basement. So I will be using the office downstairs in the basement until I move to Mexico after this week. But we're making it work. We are making it work, and it's fine. It's temporary. It's not forever. And I've kind of learned, to remind myself when I get frustrated that this is a temporary situation and it is in service of a lifestyle change that I've chosen that I very much want. So I'm willing to make the sacrifice. So what I would say is if you're, planning to relocate, you kind of have to put a plan in place, maybe not as aggressive a timeline as I did. But as I said to you guys before, I am an executor. I am not a navel gazer. And so once I decide to do something, I do it. So once I decided I was moving, it was kind of like, okay, how are we going to make this happen? And I found that creating a deadline has forced me to like take action and do things that I probably would have taken longer to do if I had been like, oh, I'll move at the end of the summer, or oh, I won't move till fall. Then I probably would be still acquiring things instead of getting rid of things. So I think because I gave myself such a tight timeline, it forced me to really be serious and aggressive about just letting things go and understanding that it was, for a good reason, a worthy cause, that is something that I wanted. And so I have a whole lot less things. And I don't think I ever want to acquire as many things as I've owned. I really came to realize that, and it's part of being in America and the whole system is that you feel the necessity to acquire a lot of things. You buy a big house and you feel a necessity to fill the big house with things. And before you know it, you have more things than you even know that you have. And so as you're going through the process of getting rid of things, you're looking at things and like, where in the world did this come from? And every time you go in another cabinet, you find another thing that you have to put in a box to take to Goodwill. So one of my goals is to never own as many things. Hi, Deborah, as I used to own, because now I do not own a lot of things. One thing I did invest in, and I know there are lots of different schools of thought about this, is that I did hire a moving company and I did have some items shipped to Mexico. Most of the things I shipped were, you're very right, Athena. America, the whole system is designed for consumers because the machine doesn't work if you're not consuming. So you're kind of, you have to feed the beast, so if people are not buying things, the whole system will collapse. So the system is designed for you to keep buy the next car, the next dress, the next shoe, the next purse, and you're just buying things. And I find that the more unhappy you are, the more things you tend to buy. So I don't have as much of a desire to acquire things as I used to. I have very nice things and I like them very much, but I feel like now I can just, be good with what I have because I got plenty of things and very nice things. And I didn't like go crazy and just get rid of things. I was very thoughtful about what I was getting rid of versus what I was keeping. I had whole sides of my closet with things that had tags on them, things I had never even worn. Hi, Alicia Hutton. And so I just decided, you know what? If I haven't worn this in the last 6 months, it went into the giveaway. It either got sold or it was, it's going to be given away. I still have some items up on Poshmark. And if they're not sold by the end of this week, they're going to be bagged up and taken to a nonprofit to donate to their clothing closet. So I have a plan for every single thing in my house and how I'm going to discard of them by this weekend. So by this weekend, all of my furniture will be gone and pretty much all of my clothes will be gone. The RealReal was great. They only take certain things. They only take high-end designer items. So it's very limited what you can sell with them. But if you have certain things, and they will take them, and I found the return to be pretty good, and it's less of a hassle. Like they know what something is worth. And so I found it to be a good way to get rid of certain things, but not everything. Poshmark is not the ideal place to sell certain things. So Poshmark is great for just like regular clothing and things like that. It's been really good for that, as long as it's in, decent condition. But the Real is really good if you have like specific high-end things that you're trying to get rid of and you want to get a good return on your investment. Um, what else did I want to share on this subject? So I shipped about 20 boxes to Mexico and probably 2 furniture type items. And I was really thoughtful about even what I was shipping. Not a lot of clothes, more like things that I knew I wouldn't be able to get easily in Mexico, because now I've been to Mexico a couple of times. So I have an idea about what I can get, and most things you can get there. But there's certain food items that I like that I knew I wouldn't be able to get the exact thing that I wanted. And then there are things like that I just like my Keurig coffee machine and my Keurig coffee cups, Keurig cups and certain things like that, that I knew I wouldn't necessarily be able to get in Mexico. And if I did get it, would cost me probably a little bit more than what it would cost me to get in the United States. Things like that, I decided to send to Mexico. I'm moving into a furnished house, so I really don't need a lot of things. But the quality of things like bedding, sheets and things like that are not the same in Mexico. So there are things like that that I actually sent. There's certain items my late mother bought me and made for me that I also sent ahead of my going to Mexico. So I was very specific about what I was taking and made sure I was taking things that I couldn't easily get in Mexico. But things like Mexico electronics are not the same quality. So if you're moving to Mexico, taking your own electronics, you probably want to do that. But like food items, basic food items, clothing, shoes, you can buy all those things in Mexico. I mean, if you have special things that you really like I do, then you take those things. But I mean, otherwise, you can just pack a couple suitcases and take yourself. And a lot of the housing there is furnished, so you don't even really need furniture for the most part, unless you just want your own furniture. So I didn't see the point in like shipping beds and dressing tables. So I just sold all those things because I absolutely do not want to pay for storage. So I made sure that I got rid of things and I have enough space, some storage space in my house that I can store certain items, and then everything else I just got rid of. And so my actual plan is, when I come back to visit, I'll just pull items from specific things that I decided to keep here and travel really light, because you guys know I like to travel light. I don't like to pack. So I won't even be bringing clothes back and forth. I'll just wear things that I have stored in my home when I come to visit, and wear whatever I have in Mexico when I'm in Mexico. Any questions specific to my move to Mexico that anyone has? I definitely think that Mexico is a pretty easy place to move to. Shipping. Yes. I shipped already. I did it while I was in the US. I went into a couple of groups and asked for recommendations about moving companies, and several people mentioned a specific moving company, Zoomalo, that's based in San Miguel, where I'm moving. And I found them to be really great, very good communication, reasonable in price. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it was cheap, but it wasn't terrible. It's hard to say what it's going to be because it was based on what I was shipping, and they go by the weight of the shipment, and so they charge you based on the weight of the shipment. I know people who have spent between $5,000 to $10,000 to move, or more to move to Mexico. Let's just say I didn't even spend $5,000 to ship what I was shipping to Mexico. There was another question. I am keeping my home in the United States for the time being. I'm going to be renting it out. I live in Washington, D.C., and real estate is very valuable here. So I decided to sit on my house for a bit longer. I'm pretty excited about my move as well. I'm looking forward to getting out of Dodge and getting down to Mexico. In the next, I guess I'm leaving in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Sunday. So I'm leaving on Mother's Day. So I am very, very excited about going. Very, very much so. And I think in terms of, I mean, if you're a homeowner, I think you really have to make decisions about what you decide to do with your home on the basis of the market that you're in, right? So for some people, it makes sense to keep their home. For some people, it makes sense to sell. You really just have to do what makes most sense for you. But I live in the District of Columbia. And so for me, it made sense to hold on to my home for the time being. Plus, I have a young adult with who's not yet ready to be on his own. So I thought it would be good to give him some time to get himself together as well. But yeah, I would definitely recommend doing some purging, even if you know you're thinking about moving. Um, Doing some purging. I mean, all of us have things that we really don't need. And so, like I said, Poshmark is a great way to like get rid of things and earn some money. So I recommend it. Mercari is good too. I use Mercari. Mercari is good. Poshmark is good. Like I said, the Real Real is good, but only for certain things. But Let Go, I kind of have mixed feelings about Let Go. I think there's a lot of time that can be, a lot of people on there are not serious. There's a lot of scammers on there. So you have a lot of communications with people that are a total waste of time. But I did sell a couple of items. And then you got to be careful about, you know, not telling people your address too soon, making sure they're serious about coming to get stuff before you tell them where you live. I made sure that my son was home every time someone was coming to pick something up. Um, and so it went fine, but I'm not crazy about Let Go, to be honest with you. But I do recommend, like, I think a little purging is good for the soul anyway. I mean, if you have things that you know you're not using, you can always Let Go is the same as offer up, Deborah. You can always just, get rid of things, take some pictures of them, put them up on Poshmark. And I'm telling you, once you start selling some things on Poshmark, it almost becomes addictive. The post lady like knew me by name, and she literally knows me by name now because I'm in the post office almost every day mailing something. But it's a nice way to like make some money, save money, is to set up a bank account and just have the money go into there from your sales. And it's nice. I mean, if you have things you're not using anyway, why not sell it? You spoke with your realtor and that helps set a deadline. That's great. I do think having a deadline is very important. Whether you impose it on yourself or you plan something else that makes you have a deadline, I think having a deadline is super, super important. Otherwise, it's good. You'll talk about doing something and you'll never actually do it. And we could plan and plan and plan. As I said, don't plan yourself into oblivion. I think setting a deadline and even an aggressive deadline. I mean, you don't have to be as aggressive as I was, but having a deadline really and having an aggressive one really forced me to come back from Mexico and get on the stick about getting rid of things, which I probably wouldn't have done if I'd given myself 3 months or 4 months out. I would not have. So having a deadline that was so close really made me like go hard on getting rid of things. Sorry, the person who cuts my grass decided to come cut my grass today. He usually comes on the weekend. I'm not sure why he decided that today was the day. Well, I have to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I do apologize for any noise because he's out there cutting the grass. Hi, Joselle. So who's planning to actually move this year, to relocate this year? Anybody planning to relocate this year? Okay. So Alicia said she's planning a scouting mission in January of 2022. If you're planning to move this year, then you definitely should give yourself. Well, Deborah, I think you're like pretty far along, if I recall correctly. You're like a G on this. You're pretty far along. And Athena, I think you said you're probably later in the year. But I do think if you're planning this year, then I would encourage you to give yourself a deadline of some kind. Oh, you're moving before I am, Deborah. Congratulations. Oh, cool. You guys are not playing around. Athena, you're going to get your residency. Joselle's going in June for a month. Joselle, where in Mexico are you going? Sandra is doing a recon trip this summer. Y'all aren't playing around, but I do recommend um checking it out. Some people have moved sight unseen, and you're super brave if you do that, and I guess it can work out. But I think going ahead of time is always a good idea. I don't think I would have picked the place that I picked if I had not gone myself. So I'm really glad that I went and I got to spend some time there, and got a sense of each place I visited, so that I could make a decision based on being somewhere, spending time there, experiencing, the place, the neighborhoods, being there, shopping, eating, walking, and so on. Deborah, you're very brave, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And here's the thing: if you don't like the first place you settle, you're not a tree. You can move. That's it. And Mexico is a very, very big country. It's not an island. It's a country. It's a big country. So there is like multiple temperatures, climates, cultures, if you don't like one place, you can always just go somewhere else. If you don't like, the tropical, like me, you can move to, Mexico City, San Miguel, Querétaro. There are lots of other places that you can go that are beautiful and have milder climates. And then if you're a beach person, you can take your place of any number of places. So the great thing is that if you decide the first place you go is not for you, just move somewhere else. Hey, Francis. I think you'll love it regardless of where you end up, because you can live one place and go hang out in other places. I'm actually planning to check out some beaches over the summer in other parts of Mexico, and I want to get to Chiapas and Morelia as well. So it's like it's a big country and it's beautiful and it's so many things to see and do. Okay, Francis, you're going tomorrow. Where in Mexico are you going? That is my go-to. You are not a tree. You can move. You're not rooted. You can just up and go somewhere else. Yeah, Francis is beating us all to the punch. She's going tomorrow. And there's just Guadalajara. That's cool. So you're going to Ajijic. Okay. I love to hear what you think of it. Great weather on that part in that part of Mexico. Make sure you check out Tlaquepaque when you get to Guadalajara. Don't miss it. Thank me later. That was my favorite. Tlaquepaque. It's just a cool area, cool neighborhood. You will absolutely love it. And the galleries and the restaurants and there, I can't remember the name of. There's a store that's supposed to have the largest collection of tequila in the world, in Tlaquepaque. I think I wrote about it in my blog, but I don't remember the name of it right now. And then you can do a tour of tequila while you're there. I didn't have time to do that, but you can do tequila tastings in Tlaquepaque and in other parts of Guadalajara as well. I didn't do the tequila tour because I just didn't feel comfortable being around a lot of people because of the pandemic. So I didn't do the tequila tour, but I hope to do it later in the year. And I'd love to hear what you think of Lake Chapala. It's quite scenic and the weather is wonderful. I didn't love it for living there, but it was definitely really nice weather there. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll have a ball. Ajijic is lovely. The lakefront there is beautiful. I think you'll really enjoy it. And Guadalajara, I mean, it's a first class. It's a city though. It's a big city, but it's a really cool city. Lots to see and do there too. What did I love most about San Miguel? That's San Miguel. If you read my blog post, we'll go in more detail about San Miguel, but San Miguel feels like an old European city to me. And since my most favorite city in the world is Florence, it made me feel the most like the way I felt the first time I went to Florence when I first saw San Miguel in the car driving over the mountain into the valley. It was really breathtaking. And then it's really clean, pretty, and it has pretty much all the things you would want in a city, as well as you still feel like you're in Mexico. So I felt like I could get all the comforts and things that I wanted, but I still felt like I was in Mexico experiencing a different culture. But you can go to wineries, you can, great first class restaurants, great walking, which I also wanted, and the weather. Loved the weather. Of course, I'm arriving in the hottest month of the year in San Miguel, which is May, but I think I will survive. But it's a breathtaking place. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to live there. It is considered one of the best cities in the world, not just Mexico. It's a UNESCO site, and it's just and once you get there, you understand why. The architecture, I mean, it's really something, and the views, and I mean, it is in the mountains. There are, it's the altitude you do have to get used to, but after a couple of days, I was okay. But it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Yeah, it does look like when you're walking, especially in Centro and around the Paraquia, which is in the center of the city, the church, it feels like an old European city. It reminds me a lot of a town called Lucca that I visited in Tuscany in Italy. Not as much Florence, because Florence is a much bigger city, but it just had a feel of an old, like, Italian European city. I love it. Well, Tony is in this is I think Tony is on this chat, and she can say more about Merida than I can, but here is my take on Merida. I enjoyed Merida very much when I was there, but I went to Merida in November. So I did not get to experience 100-degree Merida. But the mosquitoes are very disrespectful in Merida, even in November and also in January when I was back there to finish my residency. So you definitely have to come mosquito ready. Bring your repellent. Be ready because the mosquitoes are there. But in November, it wasn't super hot. It's actually really nice. The weather was very mild in November, and it was also quite mild when I was there in January. But definitely, you could feel the sun was getting hotter there. But right now, where I'm hearing stories about 100 and 110s, I don't think I can handle it. But and where anywhere that there's water, rain and humidity and heat, you're gonna have mosquitoes. So you definitely want to go with repellent. And I understand that in May and June, the mosquitoes also come out in San Miguel. So I'm preparing myself for that as well. But it's not as hot as Merida. But from what I hear, Merida's pretty hot right now. I don't plan to ever experience Merida outside of the fall months. So I don't ever want to know what it feels like to be walking down the street when it's 110 degrees outside. I have I have no intentions of finding that out if I can help it. I am not sure how far Jalisco, I'd have to look at a map of Mexico, and I don't have one handy right now. San Miguel is in Guanajuato state, and Jalisco, Lake Chapala is in Jalisco. So if you pull up a map, you might be able to like look at where Jalisco is in relation to Guanajuato state. I think it's further from Mexico City than San Miguel. I didn't get sick. I felt like a little tired, but the altitude didn't bother me very much. it didn't bother me very much at all. And it wasn't hot, so even when I was walking out and about, it wasn't too bad in San Miguel. Even though I felt a little tired, and at one point I was like, "Wow, I feel tired," and then I remembered, "Oh, you're 6,200, feet above sea level, so that's why you feel like this." So yeah. I need to spend more time understanding the landscape of Mexico. I look at maps of it from time to time to like figure out things, but I always forget. So I need to spend more time studying the map to kind of get a better sense of where one place is in relation. But I am learning the names of the different states, and I do know that Guanajuato is closer to Mexico City than Jalisco is, and Jalisco is where Lake Chapala is, where Guadalajara is, Tlaquepaque, and so on. And Puerto Vallarta is also in Jalisco, but on the coast. I have had my COVID shots, both of them. I am ready to go. I have had both shots, and I think I'm coming right up on my 14-day mark from having both of my shots. So I am straight on my shots, even though I will still be wearing a mask everywhere I go, not taking any chances. And I feel like they have good COVID protocols in Mexico. I don't think people are getting vaccinated as rapidly as we are, but they are vaccinating folks. And I heard a lot of people have been vaccinated in San Miguel, actually. But I feel like they have good protocols there in terms of, having people wear masks, keeping places extremely clean. San Miguel is very, very clean. That's another thing I love about it. And, lots of hand sanitizer. So you got to keep lotion in your purse because your hands will be like paper because of all the sanitizer you'll have to put on it. But I felt a lot better, just being there and seeing people making the effort. I'm not sure everything they do actually helps, but I felt like they at least were making an effort, more of an effort than they were making in the United States. So that was good. But I feel a lot better now that I'm vaccinated, but I'm not kidding myself that it's going to protect me completely. So I'm still planning to be pretty careful and still avoid big crowds and things like that. And the thing about San Miguel is it is a popular destination in Mexico for Mexican people. And of course it would be. It's a beautiful city. So on the weekends, quite a few people come to visit there. In San Miguel, it depends on the time of year, but it can get into the 30s at night there. When I was there, I think it went into the 40s at night. And like by 6 o'clock or so, it would be like in the 60s. So you could wear, one of the things I love about it is I could wear my poncho, I could wear a sweater in the evenings, I can wear leggings, I can wear my ankle boots. I didn't have to give those things up to go there, which made me very happy. And in the daytime, I could wear a sundress and a sweater, especially in May. And I think in May, it drops into maybe the 70s in the evening. But the other parts of the year, it's pretty cool. I mean, when I was there, I think the average temperature was between 75 and 78 degrees during the day. And then in the evenings, it got down into the 40s. And so some mornings when I was going to walk to get coffee, it was around 45, 50. So I put a sweater on or a windbreaker and a hat, baseball hat, because I have to keep my head warm all the time. So it wasn't so cold that you needed like a winter coat, but I can wear my leather jackets there. I can wear, things that I enjoy wearing anywhere. Fall is my favorite time of year. So San Miguel kind of is like eternal fall to me, or that's what it felt like when I was there, even though when I get there in May, it'll be interesting to see how it feels because I understand it's going to be hot when I get there. Because in San Miguel, almost none of the houses have AC, and my house doesn't have AC, so I will see how I deal with that. Because it gets up to the 90s in May and June, I understand. May being the hottest month of the entire year. So if I can survive May, I'll be all right. But it's pretty mild in comparison to Merida. I'll say that. It's pretty mild in comparison to Puerto Vallarta in the summer, from what I understand. I had my driver made a point when I went to Puerto Vallarta, which was my second most favorite place. of telling me how hot and humid it was in the summer. He was like, "It's very, very hot here." He was like, "It's very hot here." Um, no, I've rented a house in a small house in San Miguel. I did an Airbnb when I was visiting, but I found a place and I've already leased a place in San Miguel. I'm doing a long-term lease. I'm gonna be there for at least a year. Oh yeah. I mean, I would have done, Sandra, I would have done a yard sale if it wasn't for COVID. I had a yard sale a year or two ago. I think it was back in 2018 when I was thinking about moving to another state briefly. And I did a yard sale to get rid of some things. And it would have been so much easier if I had been able to if I had done a yard sale, I got rid of myself even sooner. But because of COVID, I didn't do one. So it was actually a little bit more challenging because of COVID. But I mean, I just put a couple items outside on my curb just the other day. They were gone before the evening, literally. So I know if I had a yard sale, I would have gotten rid of things even faster. But I just didn't. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. So I had to do the let go thing, which was more of a pain. And then I'm just taking, I think I'm taking like a couple things to Goodwill on Saturday. And I think I have two more articles of like 3 items of furniture to take to Goodwill. And then the house will be done in terms of furniture. And it'll just be, boxing up some other things to take to Goodwill, and we'll be all done with the things. It's a lot of just like little nuisance things at this point that you're like, oh my goodness, another thing to put in a box. Just, the acquisition of things is something that I've really learned a lesson from this about having entirely too many things that I can't even explain why I have them. I just do. Well, it is 6:37. I don't know if you guys have any additional questions that you want to ask me before we wrap up. This was fun. I hope it was helpful. I will leave links to several the places that I mentioned, like Let Go, Mercari, Poshmark in the description, so that if anybody wants to check them out, you can. Oh wow, it's snowing in Denver. My goodness. I haven't seen snow because I boycotted winter this year and spent it in Mexico. So I missed all the snow. Hallelujah. It gets cold in San Miguel, but it doesn't snow there. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, if you're in my group, you can always drop them in there. You can also drop them in the comments here, and I will make sure and answer them. Um, and if you guys have ideas for other topics that you would like me to cover, please do suggest those as well. Yes, YouTube was giving me the blues last week, Athena, the blues. But I'm glad that I finally figured it out. I think I cracked the code. I think I cracked the code. I can't believe it's snowing. It's April. But that is the middle of the country, so I guess it would still be, you guys are still getting colder temperatures in Colorado than what we're getting in DC. The weather is pretty nice right now, but the pollen is horrible. And it's windy today, so the pollen was just flying everywhere. So I try not to go outdoors because I get terrible allergy problems at this time of year. It's not my favorite. Oh wow, it snows in June. Wow. But you know what? I would rather that than be hot. I hate being hot. It is not my favorite at all. I do not like to be hot. This is why I could not do um, any of the beach towns. I had to get real with myself and be honest with myself about what I liked and what I didn't like, because I didn't want to lock myself into a place that I didn't like that much that I would just be really unhappy until I could leave. And I think I would enjoy being in Puerto Vallarta in October to January, but I wouldn't enjoy being there from the spring to the summer months. Because I actually am looking forward to going back to Puerto Vallarta, hopefully in September, October time. Even I'm hoping to get to Italy in September. I'm watching to see what happens there because they're still locked down. But Puerto Vallarta is very hot in the summertime. And I can't, I don't like being hot. It is just not my thing. I know my parents are from the islands, and I grew up in, partially in South Florida, which is probably where I learned to dislike heat so much. But I absolutely hate the heat. I hate summers in Washington, D.C. because it's so hot and humid that I would just stay indoors and really not try to do a whole lot in the summer months because I just don't like being outside in the heat and the humidity. And the mosquitoes in D.C. in the summer are the worst. The worst. But anyway, it's 6:40. I'm going to sign off now. Thanks you guys so much for joining me. All of you who are on the live. It was fun talking with you and chatting with you guys about how I packed up that house in actually 10 and a half weeks. Now that I looked at the calendar, it's less than 11 weeks. Because as I said, we are almost empty. Let me know if there are any other questions. And thanks again for joining me. And I'll see you guys at the next live. Bye.